Once upon a time, there were two friends. But these friends weren't little boys and little girls who tried to help people. These friends were germs. This germ was named Virus, and his friend was Protozoa. And these friends like to climb on little boys' and little girls' hands and get inside their body and try and make them sick. Protozoa would get inside their stomachs. He would go down their throat and get inside their stomachs. And he would make their stomachs so sick they would throw up and their stomach would hurt. And that was Protozoa's plan. Well, his friend Virus also liked to get in little boys and little girls, and he liked to give them a fever. He would make them cough and sneeze, and they would hurt, and they would have a fever. And that was his plan. These two people, these two germs, were not good guys. Well, one day, Protozoa decided, I'm going to try and get on a little boy's hand and try and get inside his stomach, and then I will make him so sick. So that was his plan. So he crawled up on the little boy's toy. And when the little boy went to play with his toy, Protozoa climbed from his toy onto his hand. And he thought, now, all the little boy has to do is put me in his mouth. Well, pretty soon, the teacher called to the little boy, little boy, it's time to go to lunch. The little boy thought, He looked at his hands. He said, I don't know what's on my hands, but I better wash them because I do not want any germs getting inside of me, making me sick. So he started to walk over to the sink where the soap and the water was. Oh, Protozoa started getting scared. Oh, no, not soap and water. Soap and water will wash me off of his hands and make me go down the sink. Protozoa did not want this to happen, so he crawled in between the little boy's fingers, and he thought he would surely be safe there. Well, the little boy washed the top of his hand. The little boy washed the back of his hand. The little boy then took his fingers and started to wash in between his hands, right where Protozoa was. Oh no, thought Protozoa. And soon the little boy scrubbed Protozoa right off his hands, because that's what soap does. Protozoa cried as he was washed down the sink with the soap and water. Well, his friend Virus thought of a new plan. He thought he would go to the housekeeping center and climb up on the little girl's pretend fork, and he would wait for her to take a pretend bite and then crawl inside her mouth and make her sick and cough and sneeze and have a fever. So he crawled onto the little fork and he waited for the girl. The little girl cooked her pretend food, and the little girl put her pretend food on the plate, and then the little girl picked up her pretend fork. And she reached down there to take a bite of her pretend food. She brought the fork up and went, and she pretended to take a bite. But the little girl did not put the fork in her mouth because she knew only put real food in your mouth. That's the only thing that goes in her mouth. And she knew that, so she was very smart. The virus said, oh no, she didn't eat me. So he thought, well, I'll crawl on her hand and maybe she'll put her fingers in her mouth. So Virus crawled onto the little girl's hand. Pretty soon the teacher called the little girl and said, little girl, it's time for lunch. But the little girl was just as smart as the little boy, and she went to the sink to wash her hands. Well, Virus had seen how Protozoa hid between the fingers, but it didn't work on the little boy. So Virus decided to hide in the little fingernails of the little girl. He felt sure he'd be safe there. So even though the little girl couldn't see Virus, she knew that her hands could have germs on them. So she walked to the sink and she started to wash her hands. She washed the back of them. She washed the palm. She washed the fingers. She washed in between the fingers, and Virus thought he was safe. But then, all of a sudden, the little girl started scrubbing her fingernails underneath her fingernails. She washed them on her other hand and scrubbed, and that's when the soap got to Virus. No! And Virus was also washed down the sink, just like Protozoa. And the little boy and the little girl did not get sick because they remembered two important things. Always wash your hands before you eat, and only put real food in your mouth. That's what we're going to work on too, because we don't want to get sick either. So we're going to be sure and remember to wash all of our hands, even our fingernails, and only put real food in our mouth.